Single-minded Arsenal can beat treble-chasing City to the league. One ass cannot ride two horses, is an Irish variation of the old saying, one man cannot have two masters, which expresses the difficulty of trying to complete two tasks simultaneously. Arguably, the expression has never been truer than after Arsenal were knocked out of the Europa League by Sporting Lisbon in the last 16. Now that they are out of Europe, the Gunners can focus fully and solely on trying to win the Premier League. And the fact that their opponent is a Manchester City side trying to emulate their neighbours' greatest ever feat of winning a treble of League, Champions League and FA Cup might just give them the edge. This is because unlike City, the single-minded Arsenal team has one goal in mind: win the Premier League. European last 8 draws confirm Arsenal's loss was a blessing in disguise. If any Arsenal fan or even player was in any doubt that going out of the Europa League could strengthen their Premier League challenge, then the quarter-final and semi-final draws for both the Europa League and the Champions League will probably convince them. UEFA make the draws for the quarter-finals and semi-finals of their competitions at the same time supposedly because it helps everyone involved, from clubs to fans to police authorities, to plan for those crucial games, which all take place over a relatively short period of time, right through to the end of the season. However, one effect of this compressed or even concertina-ed draw is to create potentially lopsided halves of each draw, and that is exactly what has happened this time around. If Arsenal had progressed to the quarter-finals of the Europa League and received exactly the same draw as their conquerors, they would have faced Juventus in the quarter-final before an even more daunting task in the semi-final, as they would have met either Sevilla, serial winners of the Europa League, or a resurgent Manchester United, which would have been an English derby in Europe that neither side would have wanted. And all of that would be before reaching a final against probably Jose Mourinho's Roma, who are the standout side on the other half of the draw. That would have been at least 2 and possibly 5 more matches against top-class competition, either European or domestic. Obviously, all of that is just speculation, but what is not speculation is to say that Manchester City face an even more arduous task if they are to reach the Champions League final, let alone win it, as they are desperate to do after winning the English title so many times. In a draw that is even more weighted on one side than the Europa League draw, City first play Bayern Munich in the quarter-final, with the second leg away in Bavaria. If they overcome the German giants, they would face the winner of the Real Madrid v Chelsea last 8 tie in the semi-final, and if they come through all that they will almost certainly face resolute Italian opposition in the final, with Napoli, who are dreaming of a Serie A and Champions League double, the most likely Italian team to make it through to Istanbul. And don't forget that City are still in the FA Cup. It should not be forgotten that Manchester City are still in the FA Cup, too. Although they have the relatively straightforward task of hosting championship pace-setters Burnley, and their old hero, Vincent Kompany, in the quarter-final, there is every chance that they will have to face City rivals United in a big, highly pressurized game at Wembley, either in the semi-final or the final. In total, therefore, if Manchester City are to match Manchester United's truly historic treble in 1999, they will have to play 8 more games than Arsenal, who now have only their last 11 Premier League games to focus on. And the majority of those 8 games for City would be against fellow European and domestic heavyweights, played out over 2 legs over a single week, with all the attendant